From then on, Wang Zhuo went into the camp every day, looking for opportunities to get close to Lu Wenlong. One day, Lu Wenlong heard that a poor man came to the camp and told stories well, so he summoned him. Wang Zhuo told him the myth of the bird returns to the south. Lu Wenlong was moved by the story and asked Wang Zhuo to continue. But Wang Zhuo said, "Animals know that they are attached to their homeland." After hearing the story today, the hardworking man also misses his hometown. "I am not in a good mood. I will tell the story to the prince tomorrow." The next day, Wang Zhuo brought a painting and told him the story of Lu Deng. He pointed at the painting and said, "This Lu Deng couple has a son named Lu Wenlong." Lu Wenlong was surprised. "Why is he also called Lu Wenlong?" Wang Zhuo said, "When Jin Wushu captured Liaocheng, Lu Deng and his wife were loyal to each other. Wushu asked the wet nurse to take the son to Jin Bang and recognized him as his adopted son. It has been 13 years now. This Lu Wenlong did not avenge his parents, but recognized the enemy as his father. It's heartbreaking." At this time, the wet nurse came in crying and said, "What the poor man said is the truth. It's my fault that I didn't dare to say it." Lu Wenlong fell to the ground and cried. Lu Wenlong immediately drew his sword and rushed out to take revenge, but was stopped by Wang Zhuo, who advised him to take a long-term view. Jin Wushu was very happy to see Lu Wenlong's successive victories. After hearing that Mutichi and Wan Mutuz had trained the crooked horses, he was even happier. He ordered them to go into battle immediately to completely defeat the Song army and eliminate Yue Fei. On the second day, the Wanmu brothers led their troops to fight, and Yue Fei sent Dongchang and 5 other generals to fight. The two sides fought for a while and the Jin soldiers fought and retreated. Dongchang led his troops to pursue them. Yue Fei saw heresy in the battle and was about to order the gong to withdraw the troops, but suddenly a cannon sounded in the Jin camp. The Jin soldiers released 3,000 crooked horses and surrounded the Song army. They shot with spears and arrows, and their momentum was unstoppable. Poor Dongxian and the other 5 generals and 5,000 soldiers were almost all killed. The crooked horses were covered with armor, and every 30 horses were strung together in a row with iron chains, with a total of 100 rows, 1 row with crossbows and 1 row with long spears, arranged in an orderly manner, with extremely strong lethality. When the Song army first saw this formation, they were at a loss, resulting in the annihilation of 5,000 troops. Yue Fei was very distressed when he heard the news, and suddenly remembered that the Liangshan hero Su Ning used a hook-linked spear to break Hu Yanzhua's linked horses. So he immediately ordered the Imperial Household Department to make hook-linked spears and rattan shields within 3 days, and limited the infantry to practice the formation within 3 days. On the 4th day, the Jin soldiers came to challenge again, and released the crooked horses after a few rounds of fighting. The Song army was well prepared, using rattan shields to block spears and arrows, and hooking the horses' legs with hook-linked spears, and annihilated all 3,000 crooked horses. Wuzhu heard that the Guizima army was wiped out, and he cried and fainted. Military advisor Hamichi advised, "Don't worry, Wolf Lord. Once the Iron Buddha arrives, Yunanman's army will be wiped out." Soon, the Iron Buddha arrived from the old camp. Wuzhu was overjoyed when he saw it, and hurriedly made arrangements to attack the Song camp at night tomorrow. Lu Wenlong heard the news and hurried back to the tent to discuss countermeasures with Wang Zhuo. Wang Zhuo said, "We must notify the Song camp as soon as possible to prepare early." Lu Wenlong said, "This is easy." He picked up a pen and wrote a letter. When it was dark, he rode to the outside of the Song camp and shouted, "Urgent military situation, report to Marshal Yu as soon as possible." After that, he shot the letter into the Song camp with an arrow. Yue Fei was shocked when he heard the news and hurriedly set up a false formation and quickly retreated to Feng Wang Mountain to hide. The Jin soldiers transported the iron floats to the outside of the Song camp and bombarded them wildly. The Song camp was ablaze with flames and the ground was shaking. Yu Yun and other soldiers ambushed halfway. After the Jin soldiers withdrew, they nailed the fire doors of the iron floats and pushed them all into the Xiaoshang River before returning to the camp to report. Yue Fei ordered the 3 armies to return to the camp and camp again. Wuzhu thought that Yue Fei's army was wiped out and was celebrating with the soldiers. Suddenly, he received a report that Lu Wenlong had fled south with the poor man and the wet nurse. Wuzhu didn't believe it and went out of the camp to check. Seeing that the Song camp was intact, he was very angry and hurriedly ordered people to fire again. The soldiers searched everywhere and fished out the Xiaoshang River, but they were all unusable. Wuzhu collapsed on the ground inside. Yunnan is really too powerful. Hamiqi deployed the Golden Dragon formation to fight to the death with the Song army. Yue Fei ordered Lu Wenlong to lead 12 generals to attack from the middle, he and Marshal Lu to attack from the left, and Han Shizhong to lead people to attack from the right. When the Song army attacked, Hamiqi waved flags and commanded from the high platform. The generals of the Song army were all excellent in martial arts. They charged and killed like chopping melons and vegetables, and the Jin soldiers were thrown into disarray. At this time Guanling led the fresh troops to attack, and the Jin soldiers retreated like a tide. Wuzhu saw that the situation was hopeless and fled with several followers. Marshal Lu saw it and bowed to Yue Fei and said, "I will be back soon." He actually took his own troops and went out to fight. Wushu fled back to his tent and said sadly, "It seems that I am really no match for Yu's army." Hamiqi offered a suggestion. "Don't worry, Wolf Lord, we still have a special force in the Song Dynasty." After saying that, he whispered a few words into Wushu's ear, and Wushu smiled. On the bright and beautiful West Lake in spring, someone chased Qin Hui's flower boat and sold wax balls. Wang looked out and said, "Isn't that military advisor Ha?" Qin Hui hurriedly called Hamiqi to the boat and bought the wax balls. Wang sent away the servants and cut open the wax balls. It turned out that Wushu was defeated by Yue Fei and blamed Qin Hui for breaking his promise. He asked Qin Hui to get rid of Yue Fei and divide the country equally. Qin Hui was overjoyed and ordered the boat to return to the mansion to discuss strategies. Yue Fei defeated Wushu and chased him to the foot of Jinyo Ridge. Yue Fei ordered to set up camp and wait for the imperial court to provide food and money, and then continued to march north. The soldiers asked for a celebration banquet, but Yue Fei said, "At present, food and money are insufficient, and the Jin soldiers are eyeing the central plains like tigers and wolves. It is not the time to celebrate. I will drink with you when we defeat Huanglong." Everyone thought what Yue Fei said was right. At this time, the imperial court sent an imperial edict, requiring Yue Fei to return to Zuxian town to rest and wait for autumn to advance again. Everyone persuaded Yue Fei that success was in sight, and if he returned at this moment, all his previous efforts would be wasted. Yue Fei thought for a long time and said, "The emperor's order is greater than heaven." He ordered the troops to return to Zuxian town. After Yue Fei's army arrived at Zuxian town, Yue Fei stepped up the training of soldiers. After more than a month, Yue Fei saw that the court had no intention of the northern expedition, so he asked Yu Yun and Zhang Xian to return to Tangyin to serve his wife and teach his brothers martial arts. He also assigned his generals to various places to serve as officials. At this time, the court issued another imperial decree, asking the marshals of various routes to return to their respective units. Within half a month, another imperial decree was issued, asking Yue Fei to go to Beijing for promotion and title. The generals persuaded him that Qin Hui was in power and he must not go to Beijing. At this time, the court sent a golden medal, which was equivalent to the emperor's personal order. 12 golden medals were issued in one day. Yue Fei had to hand over the seal of the commander to Niugao and lead several family generals to Beijing. The local people helped the elderly and children to stay with Yue Fei. Yue Fei consoled them, shed tears, mounted his horse and whipped away. As soon as Yue Fei crossed the Yangtze River, Feng Zhang and Feng Xiao, 2 imperial guards, stopped him and read the imperial edict, saying that Yue Fei was not taking action and withholding military pay, and wanted to take him to Linan for trial. Wang Heng was furious when he heard this and started to beat him with a stick. Yue Fei shouted to stop him, and Feng Zhang took the opportunity to kill Wang Heng with a knife. The other officers rushed forward to capture Yue Fei, and the rest of the family generals had to escape and report back. Yue Fei was secretly taken to Linan, and Qin Hui falsely passed on the imperial edict to let Zhou Samwei, the chief judge of the Dali Temple, interrogate Yue Fei for treason. Zhou Samwei was unwilling to be an accomplice to the evil, so he resigned from his post and left with his family at night. After Zhou Samwei escaped, Qin Hui promoted his henchman Luo Ruji and others to the Dali Temple and asked them to torture Yue Fei to confess. Yue Fei refused to confess. The traitor had someone imitate Yue Fei's handwriting to write a letter to trick Yu Yun and Zhang Xian to testify that Yue Fei was plotting a rebellion. The two would rather die than obey. 2 scholars in Linan heard that Yue Fei was wronged, so they bribed the jailer to treat Yue Fei's wounds, so that Yue Fei and his son could barely hold on. Zhang Bao, who was an official in another place, heard that Yue Fei was recalled to Linan, so he abandoned his official position and rushed here. After crossing the Yangtze River, he learned that Yue Fei was imprisoned and Wang Heng was killed. He rushed to Linen in a hurry and saw the three of Yu's father and son in prison clothes. Zhang Bao knelt down and cried. Yue Fei said, "It seems that we can't get out." Zhang Bao heard this and said, "Then I will go to the underworld to wait and serve the master." After saying this, he hit the wall and died. On the eve of the 29th day of the 12th lunar month, Qin Hui and his wife drank to bid farewell to the old year. Qin Hui said, "I have been trying Yue Fei for 2 months, but there is no progress. What should I do?" Wang said, "Yue Fei's rebellion is a false charge. Besides, it is easy to tie up a tiger, but it is difficult to let it go." Qin Hui hurriedly said, "Madam, you have a good idea." After that, he ordered his servants to send a yellow tangerine with a secret to Luo Ruji and others. At this time, the prison officer was drinking with Yue Fei and his son to bid farewell to the old year. Suddenly, a jailer came to report that Yue Fei and his son should go to Fangbo Pavilion to receive the order. Yue Fei understood and he straightened his clothes and said to Yu Yun and Zhang Xian, "Children, it's time for us to go on the road. The executioner killed Yue Fei and his son at Fangbo Pavilion. It's sad and lamentable." After Yue Fei and his son were killed, prison officer Wan and scholars Li Ji and Wang Ning secretly buried Yue Fei and his son by the West Lake. Wan fled to Zuxian town and reported to Niu Gao and others. Niu Gao and others led more than 1,000 troops to enter Taihang Mountain to avenge Yue Fei. Zhou Senwei also rushed to Yu Jiazhuang and reported to Mrs. Yu. Mrs. Yu asked Yu Lei to escape quickly to prevent the Yu family from being exterminated. Sure enough, Qin Hui sent a team to capture Yue Fei's family and bring them to Linen for questioning. Han Shizhong and his wife happened to be in Beijing and hurried to Qin's mansion to ask Qin Hui what evidence Yue Fei had for his rebellion. Qin Hui hesitated and said, "Yue Fei's treason was originally a false charge. Han Yuan Shui angrily rebuked, "How can we convince the world with a false charge?" Liang Hongyu drew her sword and said, "If you don't let Yu's family go, I will kill you now." Qin Hui hurriedly changed the execution order against Yu's family to exile to Yunnan. Shi Quan, a general under Yue Fei, thought about revenge for Yue Fei day and night. One day he came to Linen to gather information and heard that Qin Hui and his wife went to Lingyin Temple to burn incense. He then ambushed under Zhong'an Bridge. When Qin Hui walked to the bridge, Shi Quan rushed forward and slashed at him with a knife, but he missed and was captured. Qin Hui took Shi Quan back for personal interrogation. Shi Quan cursed, "Traitor, you killed Marshal Yu. I wish I could cut you into pieces. Unfortunately, the heavens are blind and let me kill you with one knife." Qin Hui was furious and beheaded Shi Quan for public display. From then on, Qin Hui was suspicious all day long and could not live in peace. A poisonous sore grew on his back, which became bigger day by day. When it broke out, he became infatuated. Emperor Gaozong sent imperial doctors to treat him, but to no avail. One day, Qin Hui suddenly opened his eyes and shouted, "Grandpa, you spare my life." He stuck out his tongue, bit it till it was rotten, and died of abscesses bursting out of his back. A few days later, Wang also dreamed that Yue Fei, Yu Yan, and Zhang Xian were asking for her life. She screamed several times and died suddenly on her bed. Wu Zhu was very happy when he heard that Yue Fei and his son were killed in Jin State. He immediately reorganized the army and rushed to the Song Dynasty. The urgent document was sent to Linen and Gaozong was frightened to death. When Xiaozhong ascended the throne, the old general Zhang Jun petitioned to execute Luo Riyang and other traitors and to rehabilitate Yue Fei. Xiaozhong approved the petition and promoted Yu Lei to the Marshal of Sweeping the North, Niu Quan to the military supervisor, and sent 200,000 troops to fight against the Jin soldiers. In the Battle of Juxian Town, they encountered the Jin general Zhang Deli and no one in the Song Dynasty could defeat him. At this time, Guanling, Lu Wenlong and other generals who came to surrender arrived and killed Zhang Deli, and the Jin soldiers were defeated. The Song army pursued the victory to the territory of the Jin state, and the Jin state sent another 100,000 reinforcements. The two armies set up battle formations. Niu Gao demanded to fight, but Yu Lei could not dissuade him. Niu Gao led his troops to attack and Wu Shu led his troops to fight. In the melee, Wu Shu lost 2 generals in a row. Wu Shu had no intention of fighting again and prepared to retreat. Zhong Liang hit him with a stick and Wu Shu was hit in the left shoulder in time to dodge. Wu Shu fell on his saddle and fled, and Niu Gao chased him closely. Wu Shu had no choice but to turn around to fight Niu Gao, but Niu Gao caught the axe handle. The two pulled hard and fell off the horse at the same time. Niu Gao fell on Wu Shu's back. Wu Shu was furious, screamed, and vomited blood and died. Niu Gao laughed loudly, but he didn't expect to die on Wushu's back.